You know, it's not just my fault. You were the ones doing all the looting.
Oh, sure. Blame the victims. Throw some knockers at his head.
What size?
Riot! Don't riot!
The Simpsons have yet again predicted the future, and you won't believe how many events they predicted right in the last 30 days. The civil rise up.
Homer, were you in that riot?
Marge, please. I'm a leader in this community.
In response to the outcry, Lard Lad's parent company...
The year 2020 is at half mark of its completion, and it has already become the worst year for not only Americans, but everyone in the world. And yet The Simpsons managed to correctly predict everything in the last 30 days. For example, season 26, episode 1, The Simpsons predicted the looting going on in the last week.
And thanks to the equal number of non-rioters, the total cost of the damage is $0.
This may be a stretch, but just hear me out. The premise of the episode was that Springfield was going to be rebranded. Therefore, the Springfield government thought that the best solution was to burn the entire city down. How does this relate to the looting? Well, because Homer Simpson and other Springfield citizens were looting local businesses. Now, yes, that may be a stretch, but you can see how this correlates. Following up on fire, the Springfield police station.
All right, smart guy, where's the fire?
Over there.
Okay, you just bought yourself a 317.
Back in 1999, season 11, episode 6, The Simpsons released an episode in which the Springfield police station was on fire, just like the Minneapolis police station.
Pointing out police stupidity. Or is that a 314? No, 314 is a dog, No, or is that a 315? You're in trouble, pal.
The troubles of the nation. Do you want to win a brand new iPhone or a brand new MacBook Pro? Maybe you'd prefer a $500 Amazon gift card. Well, comment the hidden message in this video for a chance to enter to win. Is there any true limit to what The Simpsons can make fun of on their series? Absolutely not. They've made fun of everyone, anyone, in all kinds of countries. And this was shown in full in season 23 during a scrolling marquee. Homer Simpson is invited to be a guest in the TV show Headbutt, and during the episode, the lower ticker has a gag that reads Europe puts Greece on eBay. It's a throwaway gag about the country's debt. However, in 2015, Greece defaulted on its debt and the country is still having financial troubles. To be clear, Greece was having financial troubles at the time of this episode back in 2012, but their prediction of the eBay sale was technically right because of the defaulting. And it's these little jokes and gags that prove why many people pay attention to The Simpsons, because they get a lot right. Plus, this gag was meant to be a small joke, but it turned out to be something with a big impact on the international level. And it wasn't the last time that happened. FIFA corruption scandal. This particular prediction came in 2014 in season 25, episode 16, and it involved the world's most popular sport, soccer, and its league, FIFA. In the episode, Lisa gives a speech about her father being a hero, which goes viral. Because of this, Homer is asked to referee games at the World Cup in Brazil. Homer refuses bribes to fix games, as corruption seems to be rampant at the World Cup. A harmless gag, right? Because we all know cheating happens in various sports, and this was a very on-the-nose attempt at calling that out, right? Well, in 2015, it was revealed that certain bodies within FIFA were involved in bribery, fraud, and money laundering. Trust me when I say that this was a big deal at the time, and is still a big deal to this day. FIFA isn't just a soccer organization, it's one that encapsulates the world in a way that is even bigger than the NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. Numerous countries and people were affected by this scandal, and it made the revelation of it all the more shocking, and the fallout of it all the more important. Given the grand nature of everything that happened, you can't help but look at The Simpsons and go, wow, they really did predict how bad it was. Higgs boson. Homer Simpson is an American icon in the TV world, but one of his biggest traits is his stupidity. It's a trademark of the character, no doubt. However, Homer Simpson almost predicted the mass of the elementary particle, the Higgs boson, more than a decade before it was discovered. Yeah, I can't believe it either. In the episode The Wizard of Evergreen Terrace, aired in 1998, Homer becomes an inventor and is shown in front of a blackboard with a complicated equation. Fake formula? Something to tease the nerds? It may have felt that way at first, except it was real. And in 2012, it was almost spot on for the actual formula. That equation predicts the mass of the Higgs boson, writer Simon Singh said. If you work it out, you get the mass of the Higgs boson that's only a bit larger than the nanomass of a Higgs boson actually is. It's kind of amazing as Homer makes this prediction 14 years before it was discovered. That is one weird and freaky coincidence. It's been proven multiple times that there are plenty of math geeks on The Simpsons writer staff, but to be able to basically predict the mass of a particle over a decade before accredited scientists could figure it out, give them the Nobel Peace Prize. Am I right? Speaking of which, the Nobel Peace Peace Prize. Lisa, Martin, Database, and Milhouse had a betting pool for the Nobel Peace Prize in a 2010 episode of the show. If you look to the right of the red circle, you'll notice Milhouse picked Bengt R. Holmstrom to win the prize for economics. In 2016, Holmstrom actually won that prize. That's one heck of a coincidence. And obviously, when it comes to the Nobel Peace Prize, certain people are nominated year after year for their accomplishments. Sigmund Freud, for example, was nominated 13 times, though he never did win. Anyway, it's kind of funny to see that they were able to pick a winner from the future, especially for a prize as grand as the Nobel Peace Prize. It helps cement that not only are they making predictions, they're going in all corners to make it feel like they're looking at everything. Smartwatch. Let us not forget a simple thing about The Simpsons. Mainly, the show premiered in 1989, when a lot of key technology was still in its infancy. So when they did things about future technology, they were looking at what they had then and seeing how it could grow. For example, in 1995, cell phones weren't really a thing in the mass market yet, and the idea of a phone being put into a watch was unheard of, except for in The Simpsons. During season 6, a future timeline showed Lisa with a husband, and that husband had a smartwatch on. And that smartwatch had the ability to take orders from Hugh, Lisa's husband, and give orders to other people. Fast forward to 2014, and the first smartwatches were born and released to the public. And with each passing year, they get stronger in function, are able to do more, and the sky is literally the limit for them right now. Who knows what they might be in another 10 years. Obviously, the writers of The Simpsons couldn't have known about this back in 1995, but maybe they just felt that this was where everything was going, and thus they decided to do their own spin on things. Weirder things have happened in television and movies and beyond. Tiger. Sometimes it's honestly rather scary how accurate The Simpsons get in their predictions, especially when it comes to tragedies that actually occur that really were predicted on the show. In 1993, during the 5th season, The Simpsons had an episode called Springfield, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Legalized Gambling. Basically, Mr. Burns had legalized gambling in Springfield and opened up a casino to prove how much money he could make. A very simple episode to be sure, and one that had a lot of fun poking at Las Vegas. In the casino were a couple of performers, Gunter and Ernst, and it was oh so obvious that these two were meant to spoof the legendary Vegas duo, Siegfried and Roy. During the episode, one of the duo actually got attacked by one of their pet tigers. A classic gag, right? But in 2003, Roy Horn was indeed attacked by one of the tigers that they had performed with time and time again. The mauling was so bad that it ended their careers and Roy was severely hurt. There's a lot of controversy still surrounding what happened, but there's no denying that The Simpsons were uncannily accurate with how it would go down. Now sure, you could argue that this was a case where it was only a matter of time before the tiger attacked Roy, but it didn't happen before that episode. It happened after, and even then that was over a decade into their act. It may have been a time bomb, but it was one that The Simpsons predicted. I didn't vote for him. When it comes to elections, who wouldn't pass up the chance to make fun of them in some way? In 2008, The Simpsons decided to do an episode that featured not just voting, but voting via an electronic machine. This was a big step for the world following the 2000 presidential controversy in Florida, where votes were recounted because of incorrect marketing. And so surely an electronic solution would work better, because technology is meant to make our lives easier, isn't it? Well, the Simpsons team knew the flaws in that system. So during the 2008 election, they had Homer use one of these machines to go and vote for Barack Obama, except that when he pushed the sensor for Obama, the vote tallied for John McCain instead. Whoops. Hilarity was of course brought upon by this. Fast forward a mere 4 years later to the 2012 election, and a very similar thing happened in real life. One of the electronic voting machines wasn't calibrated properly, and due to this, it took a vote for Barack Obama and tallied it for his opponent Mitt Romney instead. Obviously, this was a big scandal and it had to be fixed, which would have been fine on its own, but to have it almost exactly the way The Simpsons predicted, wow. There are such things as small coincidences in terms of guessing, like a voting machine having issues, but both Homer and the real person voted for Obama, and the machine checked it as the other person. Really? Very old stones. During Lisa's wedding, we get a look at the room her and Hugh share, and on the wall of the room is a poster that reads The Rolling Stones Steel Wheelchair Tour. Obviously, this is a dig at the age of the Rolling Stones back in 1995, and how they would likely still be performing in 2010 when the episode took place. And they were right. Not only were the Stones still going in 2010, they were still making waves. For example, a few years before the deadline that the episode laid out, the Rolling Stones were the headliners of the Super Bowl 35 back in 2006. And yeah, the Rolling Stones are still going at it today, and The Simpsons can get satisfaction that they were correct in yet another prediction. Autocorrect. Shout out to all of you out there who have had frustrations with autocorrect, smartphones in general, and just trying to get your device to understand what you're saying or thinking. School bullies Kearney and Dolph take a memo to beat up Martin on a Newton device in an episode of The Simpsons that aired in 1994. The memo quickly gets translated to eat up Martha, an early foreshadowing of autocorrect frustrations. The Simpsons was lampooning Apple's underwhelming Newton, the iPhone's ancient ancestor that had just been released and included shoddy handwriting recognition, according to Fast Company. Lady Gaga Gaga's halftime show. In 2012, the show did an episode featuring the very over-the-top artist Lady Gaga, and she did a performance in the town of Springfield, but her performance was done nearly entirely in midair. Fast forward to 2017, and Lady Gaga was asked to go and do the Super Bowl halftime show, and to start the entire thing off, she jumped off the roof of the entire stadium. It was staged, obviously, but the fact that this happened at all and resembled parts of what she did in Springfield is very weird. Maybe she remembered the episode and decided to mirror it. Weirder things have happened when Lady Gaga is concerned. Disney buys Fox. Disney is king, whether you want to admit it or not, they are. But that's honestly because they've been buying all sorts of extensions for themselves over the last 10 plus years. They bought Marvel Comics, they bought Lucasfilm, and now they officially own Fox and all of its properties, which is a huge get, and one that would be shocking if The Simpsons didn't predict it in 1998. Yep, they did that. The episode When You Dish Upon a Star has Homer making a movie script and actually getting picked up by Ron Howard and Brian Gazer. As they go to the movie studio, we see that it got backing from 20th Century Fox, but under the logo of 20th Century Fox are the words, "a division of Walt Disney Co." They knew this would happen 2 decades before it did. What crystal ball do they have that makes this all work? NSA spying on us. Hey, tell me, do you think the government is spying on you? If you did, you wouldn't be alone. A lot of people think they are, through our phones, our computers, even our televisions at times. And all of these spying endeavors can often be traced back to the NSA. More times than not, anyway. In the 2007 big budget production The Simpsons movie, Homer and the family have to go on the run after an incident at a nearby lake. But while they're fleeing by bus, the NSA actually hacks into the bus driver, who is a robot, just so you know, so that they can listen in on their conversation. 6 years later, in 2013, Edward Snowden revealed to the world that the NSA was indeed listening to people's conversations, and that drove the world nuts in many ways. Yet fans of The Simpsons were like, huh? They predicted this would happen. Mutated tomatoes. During the episode E.I.E.I. Annoyed Grunt, The Simpsons got themselves a farm and decided to go and grow tomatoes. But in the process of growing them, Homer actually used nuclear power to fuse tomatoes with tobacco. Because he did this, the tomatoes actually became highly addictive, and when they grew, they were giant and deformed. That seems like a total fantasy and couldn't happen in the real world, which is what you would have said before you clicked on this video. Because while the episode aired in 1999, around 2013, a field of tomatoes in Japan were found to have grown to an enormous size that didn't make any sense. It was found out that the tomatoes were actually a result of contamination from a nearby nuclear power plant, and thankfully they weren't addictive, but the fact still remains that this kind of deformed tomatoes still happen. There is also a lot of controversy over genetically engineered tomatoes that have been grown by certain companies, which no doubt could go the Homer Simpson route if they wanted to, especially in the whole make them addictive department. President Trump. When it came to the 2016 presidential election, just about everyone thought that Hillary Clinton was going to be Donald Trump. Some pundits even had her winning with 90% certainty, but that was wrong, and Trump won. And you could argue that we've been paying the price ever since. No one saw this coming, except The Simpsons. All the way back in 2000, The Simpsons thought it could happen. They said it was going to happen, and they played it big for the viewers at home. If you're curious as to when this happened, this was in the episode Bart to the Future, and featured a future timeline in which Lisa was actually the president of the United States, and she said lines that indicated that the billionaire businessman was indeed the president before her. What was the intent of this gag, though? Was it just a simple joke? Not according to the writers. They actually did the episode as a kind of warning to America. It just seemed like the logical last stop before hitting bottom, the writer said. It was pitched because it was consistent with a vision of America going insane. Matt Groening was asked about this, and he recalled why Trump was picked then and why it's even more ironic now. Trump was, of course, the most absurd placeholder joke name that we could think of at the time. Game of Thrones. Oh yeah, we went there. Game of Thrones for years was the best show on television. The adaptation of the works of George R.R. Martin had many fans gripped for years and frequently tuning into HBO when the new season dropped so that they could watch the next episode. However, by the time of season 6 and 7, they had run out of source material because Martin hadn't finished the book series. Thus, the showrunners and the writing team finished it themselves, and it didn't end well. In fact, season 8 of the series is the most hated of the series, and the series finale is rated one of the most hated series finales of all time. So what does this have to do with The Simpsons? Obviously a lot. In 2017, on a season 29 episode of The Simpsons titled The Simpsons, which spoofed various aspects of Game of Thrones, including the three-eyed raven and the Night King, Homer revives a dragon that proceeds to incinerate a village. Up until that point, the dragons of Daenerys had only burned certain things, not whole villages or cities. But this was clearly different, and the positioning of the shot is not unlike the shot Cersei Lannister had when she watched the dragon Drogon burn down King's Landing in season 8 of the show. I'm sure a lot of you wish that The Simpsons had made season 8 of Game of Thrones instead of the crew that did, am I right? And there you have it, 15 times that The Simpsons predicted the future. Can you believe that they got this much right? Which of these predictions are the most insane to you? What which ones made your jaw drop when you heard them? Let me know in the comments down below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.